Okay. Uh, I'm going to talk about something we all know. It's just sometimes from time to time we all should be reminded of the cost of following Yahshua. If you turn to Luke chapter 9, verse 57, we'll start there, and it says, "And it came to pass that as they went in the way, a certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow thee wheresoever thou goest. And Yeshua said unto him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has not where to lay his head. And he said to another man, Follow me. Yeshua said, Follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Yeshua said unto him, Let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of Yahweh. Another said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell which are at home at my house. Yeshua said unto him, No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh. Luke records for us in this passage the accounts of three men whom Yeshua has met as he traveled along with his disciples, and two of these men declared that they wished to follow, to become his disciples. The other one, Yeshua summoned him. What immediately strikes me is the way that Yeshua handles these three inquiries, and I think that is what the reason is for recording in Luke the details of these meetings. Most men with a cause are busy trying to recruit as many as they can. You see this on TV all the time. Most preachers are busy trying to get as many members for their church as they possibly can. And most have good intentions, but I think it's more because of money. I like seeing new members myself. It's natural, it's what we expect to see, but Yeshua is radically different in his approach. He seems to spend a great deal of his time trying to dissuade men from following after him. Or at least that's what it looks like. There was a minister who was sharing some advice he was given by an aging preacher whom he greatly respected. The old man said to him, Son, always endeavor to keep your church as small as you can. That's strange talk, isn't it? And that was coming from a man who himself had pastored quite a large congregation. But what he meant was, preach the truth of Yahweh's salvation and the demands of following Yeshua. So clearly that only those who have counted the cost and are ready to give up all for Messiah will join themselves to you. It's my desire to see as many as possible come to Yeshua. I pray to see them come in the hundreds and even thousands, but I don't just want to get a crowd. That doesn't interest me at all. I want to see men and women, young people, boys and girls turning to Yeshua with their whole hearts, becoming true, sold-out disciples from the Master. And so it's interesting to read of Yeshua's way of dealing with those who express the desire to follow him. He seems to be trying to discourage them, but not really. In actual fact, Yeshua's desire is that all people will follow him. But he wants them to think it through first, to count the cost involved, so that once they do follow him, they'll never turn back. Even as he spells out what is required in such clear, shocking terms, inside he is longing for them to accept it. He's rooting for them. But the cost is the cost. It's non-negotiable. And they must be prepared for it. Would you look at these three men with me and see who Yeshua confronted with his demands, and consider with me the cost of following Yeshua? We read the first man in verses 57 and 58. And from Yeshua's conversation with him, we learned that the follower of Yeshua has no earthly security. Luke 9:57, and it came to pass that as they went in the way, a certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow thee wherever you go. Yeshua said unto him, foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has not where to lay his head. It's quite a bold statement that one makes, isn't it? I will follow you wherever you go. Can you say that without any idea where Yeshua may be headed? What may be involved in the journey? Perhaps you need some more information first, and then if you're still willing to follow, all well and good. Yeshua replies that to follow him wherever he's going will not be an easy road. He's not the one of those high-flying rabbis who jets to village and stays in the best hotels and collecting nice offerings and from crowds that hear him. He's not that way. When Yeshua stepped out of his throne in glory to come to the earth and live and die for us, he left behind all that he had. He exchanged wealth for poverty. Out of the ivory palaces into a rude cattle shed. He exchanged rulership for servitude. He says, foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. What an irony. The King of Glory, heir apparent to the throne of the universe, doesn't even have a place to call home. He has no earthly security. He was loaned accommodation by those who loved him. He borrowed a coin to tell a story. He borrowed a donkey to ride into Jerusalem and fulfill prophecy. He even was buried in a borrowed tomb. It's just as well he didn't need it for very long. He had nothing. He gave up all when he came and stood by us. And those who follow him must be prepared for the same road. No earthly security. Now, note I haven't said no security. There is security in following Yeshua, all right. But it's not any earthly security. It's not the security of possessions or money or homes or any such thing. Only the security of Yahweh's faithfulness and a life beyond this one that nothing can take it away. Even though believers have nothing to his name in this life, yet he is more secure than the richest and most powerful man on earth. But the follower of Yeshua has no earthly security. If you're going to follow Yeshua and walk his road, it may well cost you everything. So count the cost. But remember the words of Yeshua elsewhere. He said, whosoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. Then we read of the second man in verse 59 and 60, and from Yeshua's conversation with this one, we learn that the follower of Yeshua has no earthly ties. Luke 9:59, and he said unto another, follow me, but he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Yeshua said unto him, let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of Yahweh. Here we have a conversation that shocked many people. Yeshua calls this man to be his disciple, but he begs him leave to go and bury his father first. Doesn't this seem like a reasonable request? You feel sympathy for the man, but as you read it, but Yeshua replies, let the dead bury their own. I've called you to preach for me. The point Yeshua makes here, and let no one mistake it, is that if you're going to follow Yahshua Messiah, when the claims of his kingdom come before anything and anyone. Yahshua said elsewhere that he who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Now you get the picture of the kind of devotion that he is calling for. He's not calling for us to dishonor parents or shirk from the responsibility of family. But if we are pressed into a choice between the two, he comes first. And indeed, I've heard of some people have lost their families because they chose him. I personally know it. The followers of Yahshua has no ultimate earthly ties. So Yahshua says, leave it behind. Now let me cast a little further light on this conversation, perhaps. When this man says, let me first go and bury my father, it might help us to have an insight into the Jewish funeral procedure of the time. An initial burial took place shortly after the person is dead. They wrap him up and they put him in a tomb. The man is not locked away in mourning. There's the rules for that. If someone just dies, you separate yourself. So we may assume that the burial has already taken place. But then, 1 year later, after the burial has taken place, and I don't go into the graphic details of it, but you go back to the tomb, open it up, and you take the bones and put it in an ossuary that is stored inside the tomb. If that's the situation here, and it seems reasonable to assume that it was, then this man who has been called by Yahshua could be asking for up to a year's delay before following. Yahshua says, others can take care of that, my friend. The demands of the kingdom are more urgent. My call cannot wait. The follower of Yahshua has no earthly ties. Yahshua says, leave it behind. Follow me. And I've heard some young people say, I'll follow Yahshua later on. I've other more important things to attend to right now. My career, my education, my girlfriend, my boyfriend. I've got to provide a nest egg for my family first. Wouldn't Yahweh want me to be responsible like that? If Yahweh is calling you to follow him, to commit your life to Yahshua, or to take up a ministry for him, or whatever it may be, his call comes first. No excuses must be allowed to hinder you. The followers of Yahshua has no earthly ties. Leave it behind. Then finally we come to the third man in verses 61 and 62, and from Yeshua's conversation with this one, we learn that the follower of Yahshua has no earthly distractions. Luke 9:61, and another also said, Lord, I'll follow you, but let me first go bid them farewell which are at my home, at my house. Yeshua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh. Again, this doesn't seem like an unreasonable request. Would you deny a soldier going to war one last chance to bid his loved ones farewell? But again, Yeshua clearly spells out the cost of following him. Sir, you've already declared you are ready to follow me. You've picked up the plow. If you put it down now because of your hankering after your family back home, you're not fit for the kingdom of Yahweh. What Yeshua is saying, don't look back. When Peter and James and John followed Yeshua, they literally dropped the nets they were fishing with. And right when it looked like business was picking up, because Yahshua had just got them a bumper catch. They went back for nothing. Yahshua had called. Some had looked back when Yahweh called them forward. Lot's wife, Judas Iscariot, a man by the name of Demas. Is any of them remembered for any good thing? They were not worthy of the kingdom. If you're going to follow Yahshua, there must be no going back. Another reason why we count the cost first. Another way Yahshua put it was like this. Which one of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who observe it begin to ridicule him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. A man by the name of John Stott commented on those words, and he said, the Christian landscape is strewn with the wreckage of derelict, half-built towers, the ruins of those who began to build and were unable to finish. For thousands of people still ignore Christ's warning and undertake to follow him without first pausing to reflect on the cost of doing so. The result is the great scandal of Christendom today. So-called nominal Christianity in countries to which Christian civilization has spread, large number of people have covered themselves with a decent but thin veneer of Christianity. They have allowed themselves to become somewhat involved, enough to be respectable, but not enough to be uncomfortable. Their religion is a great soft cushion. It protects them from the hard unpleasantness of life, while changing its place and shape to suit their conveniences. You see that happening today. No wonder the cynics speak of hypocrites in the church and dismiss religion as escapism. The true follower of Yahshua allows no earthly distractions. We don't look back for anything or anyone. Yeshua's words are strong, aren't they? Here's what it will cost you to follow after Yahshua. In short, it will cost you everything. He calls for us to commit ourselves completely to him and hold nothing back. And that is the picture of the authentic believer. The follower of Yahshua has no earthly security, no earthly ties, no earthly distractions. Yahshua said to the first man, count the cost. He said to the second man, leave it behind. He said to the third man, don't look back. What's he saying to you and me? Well, you've heard the cost of following Yahshua. You might say, well, who then can ever consider following him? I want you to consider this. Perhaps the answer to that, we should briefly consider the cost of not following him. Eternal life. No guidance or meaning in life. No opportunity to glorify Yahweh and Yahshua. Yahweh bless.